All right, hey everybody, this is 13 Weather Meteorologist Sean Ash. As promised, we're going to give you half-hourly updates here on WTHR Plus for the remainder of the afternoon leading into our 4 p.m. newscast. We do have the line of storms we've been talking about the last couple of days. I want to show you those storms that are moving through on our camera network here and kind of give you an idea of what's going on. So practice eventually is going to be suspended here at the Motor Speedway, just a matter of time. Storm lines to the west. This is I-65 in Boone County. So there's several different things that were in terms of impacts here. The most likely to impact you, excuse me, is what you're seeing right now. And that's the downpours, the ponding on the roadways. Now, there will be some areas that will get into stronger wind gusts. This is farther down the line on 70. That's Cloverdale looking toward the southwest. Not in the storm just yet, probably in a matter of 10 minutes. That camera is going to be completely different. And then here's a look at Bloomington. So let's get right into live Doppler 13 radar. During our noon show, we were talking about all bets off for dry weather at the Motor Speedway by 2 or 2:30. So you can see what's happening and what's going on to the west there. So we have a brand new severe thunderstorm warning that's been issued, and that's going to include Greencastle. That severe thunderstorm warning is going to go until 2:15. These warnings, by the way, majority are going to be for 60-mile-per-hour wind. All right, so let me show you the radar component. We'll be able to see this wind spike, and Angela just got into the office about 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, and she was saying, watch this, and that's why. See that bright green there on radar? That's what we're looking for. So that could be a pocket of 60-mile-per-hour wind heading toward Cataract and Cloverdale, and there's your severe thunderstorm warning on that goes until 2:15. Everything you see is moving east and northeast at about 25, 30 miles per hour. So that will get it into the metro area here momentarily. Again, we're going to have multiple severe thunderstorm warnings. We're also going to have many areas that are going to see quite a bit of lightning as well. So even if your area doesn't get a warning, the likelihood your outdoor event gets delayed and or canceled because of lightning or downpours is pretty high today. We were showing you that camera in Boone County, and just to it was actually northwest of Lebanon. That's the downpour that was causing it. As we go to the north, and let me turn our lightning on, and I also have our storm reports on. We haven't had storm reports locally in central Indiana cross the state line. There were several reports from earlier. Here's an additional severe thunderstorm warning. Worst is west of Logansport. This is going to put it into Mexico and Peru. And there's the updated scan that is bowing out a little bit. So let's look at the wind velocity on that one. That also, again, potential for 60-mile-per-hour wind. And this is really just the beginning of what will be a stormy afternoon. Radar in motion, and there's your east-northeast movement. At about 25 miles per hour. So this is going to impact the afternoon rush hour, after school events, as well as evening events. And I mentioned this is going to be a prolonged situation. You can see as we look downstream, those new storms that are developing. And I want to show you the temperature setup. So where we've had the rain down to 70, so as the air cools down, that limits the severe potential. All right. Indy points eastward, low to mid 80s. It is going to take a long time to get on the eastern part of the state and the southeastern corner of the state. But in due time, you'll get into this heavy storm axis. But again, 82 in Indy, we had that sunshine to start. And so we expect an expansion of this line as it moves toward the east. Now, are we looking at this is not going to be the tornado producing setup like we saw yesterday in the plains, or what we're going to see, unfortunately, later today in the plains, parts of Kansas and Missouri and Iowa, where they're in the level 4 out of 5 risk. Unfortunately, there will likely be some violent tornadoes there. This is a different setup. We don't have extreme wind shear and extreme instability. We do have a lot of juice in the atmosphere. We have some localized spin, but what worries me a bit in terms of flooding is that you can see that heavy axis it's more of a west to east. It's not moving quickly, and these things are going to train over the same areas this evening, and so what will eventually happen is that we're going to have several areas, I believe, that will get into flooding. So we're jumping ahead in time on future track 13. This is by 5 p.m. So between now and 3, 4 o'clock, an expansion of these downpours and storms over the metro area, some of which, again, will cause some severe thunderstorm warnings. There's still a chance that some of them could have some spin, maybe enough spin that warrants a few tornado warnings. That's on the lower end of the severe weather spectrum for today. And then as we go into the evening here, you can still see that we're in the crosshairs of this long line of heavy rain and thunderstorms. So the majority of us will get an inch of rain. Some areas will get 2 to over 3 inches of rain before midnight. That will do the trick in terms of flooding rainfall here, and that's why we believe that becomes a growing concern as we move forward here. All right, so we'll get back to a current radar perspective. That is a severe thunderstorm watch in yellow. That goes until 6 p.m. The leading edge of this line or lines that form later today, those are going to be where you'll get the strongest wind gust, and if we were to have any rotation, that's where it would happen. So moving into Lebanon now, going to be moving into Kokomo here within the next 10 minutes. Over Peru right now, you're under that severe thunderstorm warning, that quick moving line that's showing some signs of bowing out a bit. And we look for the bows that can enhance the wind, and that's what we're seeing just to the north of Peru, hitting Mexico right now as it crosses over 31. So if we get some localized wind threats, those are the type of radar features that we would look for. As we work down the line here, I know we got a lot of folks that are at the track or are interested in the track, and for now, quiet, but looking west. Eventually, they'll have to get everybody off the track as even before the storms come in, we'll probably get into a lightning situation. And the lightning not too far. But there's the closest severe thunderstorm warning as it moves across Greencastle. You can see an expansion on that warning. And if these radar trends continue, what we'll see is an expansion. And you see, again, let me circle this for you. That bright green is what we're looking for in terms of wind and where it would be potentially up to 60 miles per hour. So right there, cross through Center Point, that'll cross into Cloverdale, and it'll interact with that NDOT camera that we have there in Cloverdale, Cataract. Whether or not all that gets transferred to the surface, that is to be determined. But that, again, is the warning that we have right now. Severe thunderstorm warning until 2:15. We'll show you some additional severe thunderstorm warnings up to the north, okay? Within that line, you can see there just to the east of Logansport, Peru, Mexico. Let's look for our wind shear. Not seeing a lot. There's those bright, again, the bright greens that you're seeing there. That's close to about 60 mile per hour wind. So we will be on top of this for you. Angela's in. We'll have you covered. So we're going to do these half-hourly updates here on WTHR Plus. I would say by the time we get toward 2 o'clock, Hendricks County could be under a severe thunderstorm warning at that time. So be weather aware, and hopefully you have our news app on your phone. We'll keep you updated with these storms between now and 10 o'clock. And again, the flooding is going to become a big problem here, and a wet and stormy rush hour for us. Hang with us. We'll see you again coming up top of the hour.
I sure do. Sorry you're not getting much of a lunch. All righty. I am. I'm ready. Meteorologist Sean Ash here on WTHR Plus to kind of keep you updated on severe storms moving through central Indiana. This is actually Sean doing a track on this. Eventually, I'm going to switch to our second computer and we'll do a little more analysis, and then we'll get to Sean on some storm tracking. But we want to make sure you're aware. We talked about this yesterday. Threat of severe weather, and that does continue. Now through at least 10 o'clock, we're going to be dealing with a stormy finish to our Monday. We also anticipate some additional storm development tomorrow. The main impacts: damaging wind gusts, some rotation, localized flooding. And we just want to make sure that you have taken a little bit of time to prepare yourself, your family, your home for the severe weather. Be prepared to move those outside activities inside, monitor radar and alerts, and especially if you're going to be on the go, have several ways to get warnings over the next couple of days. Know and review that safety plan and be ready to put it into practice if need be. Sean was talking about this earlier today. Severe thunderstorm watch until 6 p.m. Again, for those threats that we mentioned, wind gusts, damaging wind gusts that may be near 70, isolated hail, inch and a half in diameter. And we can't rule out the possibility that a couple of these storms may in fact rotate. But that's the outline of the severe thunderstorm watch. We now have several warnings in effect for the central part of the state. This now includes the western sections of Marion County. So National Weather Service doing a great job, as always, giving an early heads up to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway because practice was being held today. That will most likely be suspended here shortly if it hasn't already. I don't have my phone, but it is something that we'll be keeping you updated on as storms are starting to move in that direction. Lightning will be a threat. Damaging wind gusts will be a threat. So they're going to want to make sure they have enough time to get everybody to safe places, whether that be back into their cars or in a structure out there at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But most likely here shortly, those grandstands they'll be told to find some shelter because of severe thunderstorm warning. So this is the outline of the warnings, and we're going to get to radar here for you in just a second. But that severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Boone, Hamilton, Hendricks, Johnson, Marion, Morgan, Owen, Putnam will go until 2:45. And we do expect once that rain gets into the Speedway, that's going to be it for today. Unfortunately, this is a long line of rain and storms that we're going to be contending with. But this is new information since you last checked in with Sean here on WTHR Plus. Severe thunderstorm warning. Hail may near an inch in diameter. Winds may exceed 60 miles per hour until 2:45 for the western sections of Marion, parts of Hamilton, Boone, Hendricks, Johnson, Morgan, Owen, and Putnam counties. So this goes all the way back toward the Greencastle area. So that's the outline of the latest in the terms of our watches and our warnings. We're dealing with the threat of severe weather now. We're under the threat of severe weather tomorrow. So we're going to be keeping you updated over the next couple of days on storms. This is the line of storms that we're dealing with now. Over the last several hours, you can see this move from west to east. There have been numerous warnings, mainly severe thunderstorm warnings associated with this line of storms that now extends from east of Lake Michigan, so think South Bend and Elkhart area, all the way into the central part of the state. And then we're concerned because this goes all the way back through St. Louis and then becomes almost horizontal. And when we see that, that kind of is a clue to us that flash flooding may start to be an issue as the main severe threat wanes later this evening in terms of hail and damaging wind. When we get that horizontal look to the radar line, that indicates to us that, yes, perhaps flooding will start to become an issue. This is the latest on the warnings. And again, National Weather Service gave the Indianapolis Motor Speedway a lot of heads up with this severe thunderstorm. Lightning is close. And again, once I toss it over to Sean, I'll grab my phone so we can keep you updated with the updates from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But there's that severe thunderstorm warning until 2:45. Comes into the western half of Marion County. I do want to give you several close-up views. And while we're talking about the warned area, let's dive in here first. And you can see where we have the line of severe storms from now just east of Rochdale into Greencastle. So all of you in Hendricks County, southeastern Boone, so that would put Zionsville and Whitestown in the mix, and then the southwestern corner of Hamilton County. So think here, Carmel, Westfield area, just west of Fishers, as a couple of cities that will be dealing with this line of thunderstorms, potentially severe, and really now starting to work its way into the western sections of Hendricks and starting to move into the western part of Morgan County. So this is your early heads up. Danville, Avon, Plainfield, just north of Martinsville, and then into the northwestern corner of Johnson County and western half of Marion. While we're here, let's put on the velocities. And this is one, we've been keeping an eye on this because we've seen little spikes in the radar echoes. And if you've been with any of our coverage, when we see this, we know that wind is increasing. So mainly concerned now as we look at the velocities with this little area just south of Rochdale. It would be here that we have the potential for those severe wind gusts. Not to say that we won't get severe wind gusts within the warned area, but this really kind of catches our attention, and that's going to move northeast across the northern half of Hendricks County and then head into southeastern Boone, northwestern Marion County. So I'm going to do just kind of a track on kind of the strong winds with this. It might be a little easier to see the track too with less on the radar in terms of the radar echoes. So let's do, I'm going to kind of come out just a little bit. And Sean was saying these are moving at about 45 miles per hour off to the north and east. So we will take it out that way. So 5-10 minutes to Danville. So you don't have much time to get into the safe part of your home. And Danville's going to be one area under this severe thunderstorm warning and pretty close to that wind spike that we're seeing with the velocity. So go ahead, interior part of your home, lowest level away from windows and doors. This one may have some strong to severe winds with it. Brownsburg in 19, Plainfield in 22. About a half hour to Speedway, if that. So again, most likely the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is getting folks ready and into safe places out there. Carmel in about 30 to 40 minutes. Downtown Indianapolis about 30-40 minutes as well. This is, and that's for the wind, not necessarily the leading edge of the rain. In fact, we'll just change this while we're on this, just so you can see a lot of lightning with this. Cars are still on the track. Thank you very much, Scott. Scott helping us out in the back. So that is interesting. Well, we'll see. I can't imagine they're going to be on long, but I'm sure they want to get as much as they can in, because as I said, once the rain starts, and it's going to be over for the day. So once they make that call to evacuate the stands, to get the teams in, get them into safe places, that's going to be it for the day because of so much rain and lightning. So we were kind of tracking the wind part of that with the original storm track, but boy, you can see, in fact, I'll go a little closer, and I know Sean's monitoring. And once we get close into Marion County, we can use a different radar as well. But boy, you can see it's getting close to Speedway. Here's Speedway. We've got one little cluster of rain and lightning approaching Brownsburg and Avon right now, right along I-74. And that obviously isn't too far away from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Let's slide this, and then we'll get to Sean here in just a second. But so about 6-7 miles, I would think they're going to make that call as soon, especially if this one continues to produce lightning, because usually it's within that, 10-15 mile range, 20 mile range sometimes on lightning. Every outdoor event and space is a little different, but that is something that they're going to continue, obviously, to keep an eye on. Before we get to Sean, let's take you out and we'll go north because we also had a couple of warnings here in the northern part of our area, and that warning is still in effect, and that's going to be for parts of Miami County. Severe thunderstorm warning for Fulton, Marshall, and then locally Miami County until 2:15. Again, hail that may be severe in size, winds that may be 60 to 60 plus mile per hour. So that's the latest on that warning. And then you can see the line of storms goes south into Bunker Hill, Galveston. It's into Kokomo. So heads up if you are east, Converse, Greentown. These storms are moving pretty quickly your way. And as we go south, we'll pick up Kempton, so obviously impacting Clinton County. There's Frankfort, and then now headed toward Tipton. Tipton, you've got just about 10 minutes or so before some of that heavier rain and lightning starts to move in. There's the severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Boone, Hamilton, Morgan, Johnson counties, Hendricks as well, portions of Putnam. A very intense line of storms that continues to move toward the Indianapolis area, bringing with it the threat of damaging wind gusts. And this extends all the way south into Greene County. So here we are in Linton, south of Terre Haute. But that covers the warning. We did a little bit of a storm track. We showed you the velocities, trying to give you an early heads up. I'll come out just a little bit and then we'll get it over to Sean. So if you're south of Indianapolis, Bloomington, not too far away. Martinsville, same for you. Bedford, you've got a little longer as those storms, the heavier storms are moving northeast. But Indianapolis, Morgan County, and then north, these are all moving off to the northeast between 40, 45 miles per hour or so. So you can see where the storms are, and these are continuing to push east. And it does look like we've got one, that is the Miami County warning, sorry. That is the Miami County warning, and that one went until 2:15. Let me double check that, and then we'll get it over to Sean. Okay, Scott helping us out again. They are evacuating the grandstand, so not surprising that little cluster of storms that was about 6 miles away from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway was close enough. It does contain some lightning. It does contain some heavy rain. The severe part of that line is a little farther west, so at least the folks out at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway have a little time, hopefully, to get to their cars or take shelter in a more sturdy building. But now we have information that they are evacuating the grandstands out at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway because of severe storms that are starting to move in. So, Sean, that's kind of a wrap-up of what we've got at this point. Couple of warnings, most concerned, I'd say, with one of the stronger storms headed toward the Indianapolis area.
Yeah, and what's interesting, so they had a crash there earlier today at the Motor Speedway, but yes, they just sent out their tweet, lightning detected, and we can show you this on our radar here. It's actually just to the west, but within the periphery that would warrant getting everybody out of the stands there. You can see Speedway, and so then I'll draw you, and this strikes within the last 10 minutes, so that's roughly 6 miles away. Now, the core of that particular storm is likely going to stay just west, but that is close enough, and that is just a small portion of what's actually downstream. That's the severe thunderstorm warning. It includes Indianapolis, it includes Zionsville, and as well as Plainfield. We're getting a new radar sweep here momentarily. I do want to show you as this scan updates, because this is from a terminal radar site that allows us to get in a little closer inspection. We get a new scan here. We'll look for these bright greens on radar, and that's it right there. I'm going to circle it for you because that is, if we get a severe gust, it'll come from right here, not behind it, from the leading edge. So that's going to be pushing into Clayton. That's going to be pushing into Monrovia momentarily. And that, at least from a radar perspective, is roughly about 45 miles per hour. Now, could it ramp up a little bit? It could. So that's why this warning has been issued. I want to take you back, and I'll show you some of our cameras. In fact, since the cars are off the track, we are now allowed to use our IMS cams. So this is I-74 near Reagan Parkway. So this is near Brownsburg, looking west, okay? And then, so here's our IMS camera. This is looking south, going into turn 1. It'll be interesting to watch that perspective over the course of the next hour, because we do expect the line to be over the track by 3 p.m. So you can see there's still some folks that are in the gate area, the garage area. They're going to have to get indoors here pretty quickly. This is a different vantage point. This is actually looking east toward the skyline. So again, both of those cameras. So we've got our starting point with them. We'll see how they change. And then I want to show you our other NDOT camera. This is near Monrovia along I-70. Look, a lot of what we're going to be dealing with today won't be severe, impactful. But in terms of widespread severe wind gust, don't see that happening. It'll be these pockets within this long line of thunderstorms. What could be more widespread as this event unfolds is flooding rainfall. Okay, so the severe thunderstorm watch areas in yellow, that continues until 6 p.m. The atmosphere is untouched there in Muncie and Hartford City and Marion. So again, the leading edge of this line is where we would search for severe wind gust. And if we did get some embedded rotation, it would come on the leading edge. Behind it, downpours and what becomes what we call a training rain and storm event. Okay, so there you go. That's the severe thunderstorm warning that includes the western half of Monroe County. Once you get behind this, the severe wind potential drops significantly. It's just good old-fashioned rain that's falling there in the western part of the state. Then you get farther to the south here, and it's possible that we could get an expansion of the severe thunderstorm watch as well to include Bloomington and Columbus. Notice Bloomington, notice Monroe County under a flood watch for good reason. It includes Greene County as well. Some areas could get between 2.5 to over 3 inches of rain, Angela, before midnight. So we've got this thing's playing out from a time perspective and from an impact perspective. Everything is working out well. So good to see that they're trying to get everybody out of those grandstands there at the Motor Speedway. Keep them safe here as this line moves in.
Yeah, they were moving, not moving quickly, but they were moving.
Sure.
And it was interesting to see what they call that, the pylon, the big pylon, the weather advisory. So you can't miss it. National Weather Service gave the Speedway a good heads up that this was coming, and now they have cleared and are in the process of clearing the grandstands and getting everybody to safe. And don't you think now that the rain, once it starts, it's going to be over for them today?
Well, they were only going to 3 anyways. So,
okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So that's it.
Okay.
And they'll be done from a practice perspective until Carb Day.
Until Friday, okay. So we have entered the all-important busy week of the month of May. The month of May is always busy. We've got several big weekends, but of course this week, all eyes on this week. And boy, I wish we could go back to Friday when Carb Day looked like it was going to be sunny and 70-something. But the pattern just looks a little messy as we get toward the end of the week and the start of our big weekend. So it is something that we're going to continue to keep you updated on. Rain chances for Carb Day, Parade Day, and Race Day. I can tell you, I've worked here in this city a long time, and it's never easy. I don't feel like it's ever been sunny and 75 for a race. There always seems to be a chance of a little bit of rain. Do you remember sunny and 75 ever?
Well, remember the COVID year. What would have been race day
was really
absolutely
nice.
Stunning. And then later that year, it was also absolutely stunning.
On the day we held the race. That was an interesting one because we were out there, but they ran with no one in the stands.
Correct.
So there were, we had a handful of us social distancing out there at one of the biggest places on the earth.
Yeah.
But still social distancing. So yeah, you're right. That would have been an easy one, but See, it still wasn't easy. You're watching continuing coverage. I'm meteorologist Angela Buckman along with meteorologist Sean Ash here on WTHR Plus with you this afternoon because of what you see on radar. A line of thunderstorms, potentially at times severe, damaging wind gusts right now, one of the biggest threats. And then we'll take you in and kind of get you caught up on where we have the warnings. And the reason we were talking about the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is they have evacuated the grandstands and they are getting everybody into safe places as the storms start to move in. Let's start south. No warnings with this southern extent of the line yet, but Gosport, Spencer, Ellisville, Bloomington, all of what you see on radar continues to move off to the north and east and will have an impact. As Sean said, we may not end up with widespread severe damage, and we're a-okay with that, but this is going to be highly impactful. Not only impactful at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but it's 2:15, so we've got kids getting out of school, after school activities that will be impacted, and right now it looks like we're at least going to be dealing with some rain during the evening drive, and coming after some heavier rain that just could lead to some slowdown. So the reason we'll continue our coverage. Severe thunderstorm warning. This continues until 2:45. And it is going to include parts of Boone, Hamilton, Hendricks, Johnson, Marion, Morgan, and Putnam counties. I'll remove this, but you can see this is what we're dealing with. Radar indicated severe thunderstorm warning, winds that may exceed 60 miles per hour, hail that may be larger than 3/4 of an inch in diameter, so reaching those severe parameters. And then the warning itself, again, goes until 2:45. And you can see where we have the severe part of this thunderstorm now near Brownsburg. And Sean said it, if we get damaging wind with this, it's going to be the leading edge of this. So Brownsburg, Plainfield, go ahead, safest part of your home, just go ahead and come inside and let this storm pass you by. Embedded damaging wind gusts within this. At this point, we haven't seen anything rotating, but there's still that potential. Sean was talking about the analysis earlier today, and we still have the potential for some localized rotating thunderstorms and some damaging wind potential as well. This extends from Brownsburg to just west of Plainfield. Stylesville getting hit now, and then Mooresville, Brooklyn, you're going to be next as this storm moves off to the north and east with potentially severe winds. I'm going to do, let's do a couple tracks on this. So I'm going to do, we'll track this, the center part of this that will include most of the warning, and then we'll go north and cover parts of Boone and Hamilton counties. And boy, we kind of gave you the heads up, Zionsville, Whitestown, this would be coming in. And in fact, yes, you are dealing with the heavy rain, the lightning, and those gusty winds right now. So let's start here in the central part. So leading edge of the rain, although some of the gusty winds may be just in advance of this, as this moves off to the north and east, between 40 and 45 miles per hour. Basically in Brownsburg now, about 8 minutes to Plainfield, 19 minutes to Speedway. So Sean pointed out that little cell that had lightning with it that was about 6 miles away from IMS, that missed IMS and is going northeast. They won't be so lucky with what's developing from Brownsburg to Plainfield. This will all move east-northeast and impact Marion County. Speedway in less than 20, Meridian Hills in about 25, Lawrence in about a half hour, or downtown I should say in about a half hour, Lawrence in about 45 minutes. So these are just some times of arrival, and it would be about an hour to Greenfield. That would take it across Marion County and into areas east of Indianapolis into Hancock County. So that covers that track. And as we go north, I will clear that. Let's go north and we'll do the northern part of this line. Again, potential for severe winds with this. And this is moving out of parts of southeastern Boone, and we'll continue, we'll move across parts of Hamilton County. So about 10 minutes to Westfield, 15 to Arcadia, 20 to Noblesville, about a half hour to Elwood. That would take it across Hamilton, eventually into Madison County. So those are just some times of arrival. Make sure you have a heads up that these storms are continuing to move off to the east and northeast. Really getting hit hard now And this is just out of our viewing area. So Peru no longer under the warning. You can see the strong storms headed into Converse, Greentown right now. So Marion, here's Marion, and Fairmount. Not too far away from you, I'd say 20 minutes or so, 20, maybe 30 at the most. This line of storms is going to continue to move in and impact parts of Grant County. So Marion into Fairmount. We've got the storms in Kokomo and Greentown right now into Tipton, Kempton, Sheridan. So we've entered now the northwestern sections of Hamilton County. So Elwood, Perkinsville, you've got a little time before these storms head your way, but all of this is moving off to the northeast. There's the severe thunderstorm warning that does include parts of Marion County. And one thing we were keeping an eye on, the velocities, and not necessarily the red and green close together. Haven't seen much of that, and that would indicate rotation, but just the brighter colorization. And now that we're a little closer, we'll be able to switch the radar too and get you a little better information. But just realize if there is damaging wind, it's basically Brownsburg, Plainfield, and pushing just east of there, entering the western sections of Marion County right now. We'll do one more here. And again, in terms of rotation, really not seeing much, just that brightening of the velocities that is just kind of a heads up to us that this may contain some damaging winds. And it looks like we've got a little bit of that approaching basically southeast Sullivan into the western sections of Greene County in the southwestern part of the state. So that may be one area the Weather Service would be looking at for a new potential severe thunderstorm warning. But very active radar for us. Lots of rain, lots of lightning, and Sean said it as well, that we're going to be concerned with the flooding. And this radar really shows you why. We've got the line of storms here, but then this line of rain becomes almost horizontal. And think of it like a train on tracks. Sean mentioned that when we get it in this horizontal direction, these storms, this heavy rain is going to move over the same area over and over and over again, kind of like a train on tracks, which is the reason they call it training. And anything that looks horizontal on radar like that, again, gives us a hint that flooding may become an issue, and we do have parts of our area already under a flash flood watch, or a flood watch. So that's one thing that we're keeping an eye on, and we're also keeping an eye on the watches and the warnings. This is the severe thunderstorm watch for now, and it does appear that they're going to add, or no, it's still north of Bloomington. Still north of Bloomington until 6 p.m. Bloomington, nothing severe for you, but you are under that threat of some flooding. And we're going to stick with this in terms of the severe threat as we head through tonight and our Tuesday as well. In terms of warnings, we've got the severe thunderstorm warning until 2:45 for Hendricks, Boone, southwestern Hamilton, a good part of Marion, northwestern Johnson, and the northern part of Morgan County. And I mentioned the threat of severe weather continues tomorrow. We're back under a level 2 threat for all of the state of Indiana tomorrow. So this is going to be a busy couple of days for us as we track several waves of rain and storms. This is what we're dealing with now. The one warning we have is for the city of it, or just west of Indianapolis, and then west into parts of Hendricks County. So that's the one warning we have at this point. In terms of lightning, that's actually, let's go back to the lightning. And it's going to show you that, yes, we do have additional storms, and these are producing a lot of lightning. You can see that here. So that is going to be a threat to any activity outdoors over the next couple of hours, because this line will continue to move from west to east. Behind the line, it is just rain, so you may get a few outdoor activities in if you're in the western part of the state. But if you are east, this is going to continue to have an impact as we head into the afternoon and the evening hours. Anything new from you, Sean?
No, I would tell you, based on radar analysis, at least what I'm looking at, with the radar that's closest to the storm that's entering Marion County, the wind, at least from a sampling of radar, is subsevere. Now, what's interesting, and let me take off the radar data just so you can see how they're shaving counties out of the severe thunderstorm watch. So it technically goes until 6 p.m. That does not necessarily mean that the severe threat is going to be lasting until 6 over Indianapolis. In fact, it'll likely won't. Now, the flooding will. We're talking about the severe wind. That's the one that's of most concern. So let me get in here. So here's Speedway, and then let me go to the wind perspective. So we're looking for either bright reds or bright greens, and this is just about to get over the radar site there. And let me take off the severe weather for a moment. Let me just back the radar up here. I'm just going to do a couple of areas. You know, again, this is what the radar is sampling at a pretty low level. You know, gusty wind, no doubt about it, but at least in terms of a radar signature that says, hey, we've got, 50 plus mile per hour wind. I'm not seeing that right now. Could that change? It is a possibility, certainly. I want to show you a couple of cameras here, and bear with me because one that I chose, I think, got knocked off. This is going to be along I-65 if it pops up for me. There you go. So, all right, let me show you this one. This is I-65 near Old State Road 334. So the downpours of rain, a big story. Now this next camera, this is NDOT 465. So this is where you would get off if you were going to Speedway. That's looking to the northwest. And then we said we would keep tabs on the pagoda cams. So again, this one's looking toward the south as the storm line is still not necessarily raindrops, but the core of the storm is still to the west of the Motor Speedway by ballpark about 5 miles. So it is on the way here. We eventually transition from the heavy rain to, the severe wind potential on the front side of this to the flooding rain rates. And so once we get into these dark reds on radar, that's going to be probably about 1 inch plus per hour rain rates. Now, it may not sit over you for an hour, but that's the kind of rain rates we're going to be dealing with here in some of these heavier pockets. And that's why street flooding is going to be very likely. And really, we're just kind of scratching the surface. If you look down to the southwest, all of that heavy rain is moving toward the metro area. In my opinion, this is going to be just a nasty commute here this afternoon for the metro area and points south and southwest. The farther north-northwest you go, it may just be wet roads and you may get out of the heaviest pockets here. But we still have that severe thunderstorm warning that continues at this hour as it moves over Marion County there and into Hamilton County. We'll see if they continue that. But as I look at from a radar perspective right now, strongest wind is probably just east of Cloverdale. Let me show you some of a couple of different other cameras here. We'll go to the north side of Marion County. Yeah, there you go. So that's kind of looking toward that approaching thunderstorm. And then much farther south and southwest, this is what it looks like there on the campus of IU in Bloomington. Storm line hasn't made it there just yet. So we still got plenty of storms to go. Really just kind of getting started with this. Farther east, you'll get into your storms before we get to 5 p.m. There's the Speedway. So again, the heavier rain still to the west. And then let me back the radar up. And let me do a real quick. We're getting some new scans in, that's why you're seeing that. But that area right there, Angela, at least to me, right in here, Ashland, Crown Center, Stilesville, that might have a little more toward the 40 mile per hour range. But right now, I haven't had reports of severe weather, but I think these roads are going to get messy real quickly here.
They are.
Yep.
It's a Monday. We're coming off a weekend. And yes, the timing of this isn't great. We're going to stick with you. We're approaching 2:30 on a Monday afternoon. I'm meteorologist Angela Buckman along with meteorologist Sean Ash here on WTHR Plus for some continuing coverage of severe storms. That warning set to expire at 2:45, so I'm going to stick with you through about 2:45, and then we may take a break. Obviously, we've got a 4 o'clock news to get ready for, but don't go anywhere. We're going to continue to keep you updated. And we talked about this yesterday, a couple of weather impact alert days for the potential of severe weather. And we've got that now through about 10 p.m. That flooding threat may linger a little longer overnight, but for now it's the southwestern part of our area under that flood watch, and for now it goes until 11 o'clock. The impacts with these storms: damaging wind gusts, some rotation, haven't seen much of that yet, and localized flooding, and we do expect that localized flooding, the street and lowland flooding, to continue to get worse over the next couple of hours. So things that you can do: be prepared to take those outside activities inside, monitor radar and the latest alerts. If you're on the go, have several ways to get warnings, and it's always a good idea to practice and then be ready to put that safety plan into action if you need to. We're under the threat of severe weather. Sean said it, the National Weather Service kind of dropping those counties to the west where that severe threat has ended. For now, it's a severe thunderstorm watch from Muncie and Hartford City through Indianapolis into Terre Haute and into Sullivan until 6 p.m. No word of adding any additional counties south, but that's something that we'll keep you updated on if that would happen. And remember, it's south and west where we do have the flood watch. There's the severe thunderstorm warning that really has prompted our extended continuous coverage here on WTHR Plus. It does include western half of Marion County, including the city of Indianapolis, Boone, Hamilton, Hendricks, Johnson, and Morgan counties as well. So that's the severe thunderstorm warning, the only one, at least for now, that has an impact across central Indiana. This is a long line of storms that extends now from east of Lake Michigan all the way through the state of Indiana, basically the western half for now, and all of this continues to move off to the east. This goes all the way back through parts of Missouri, including St. Louis, and because of this is the reason the southern part of our area is under that flood watch. We expect additional heavy rain due to these slow-moving storms to continue to push in over the next several hours. Lots of lightning associated with these. You can see the strikes and you can see the warnings and potential for some damaging wind gusts as well. All of this moving off to the northeast at about 45 miles per hour. We did get notification that the Indianapolis Motor Speedway did evacuate the grandstands in preparation for this line of storms. It is moving closer to the Marion area, into Sims and Windfall. Marion, you're probably already starting to feel some of the wind kick up in your location. Fairmount as well, and definitely Elwood with the line of storms on the approach. The storms contain heavy rain, lots of lightning, potential for some damaging wind gusts. They have made their way into northwestern Hamilton County. So here's Arcadia. There's Morris Reservoir. We've got a camera at Morris Reservoir, so maybe we'll check that before we get back over to Sean here in a couple minutes. Sheridan, and then as we move towards Zionsville and Whitestown into parts of Boone County. There's a close-up view of Marion County. Storm headed into Rocky Ripple, but the main line where we would have that damaging wind potential now in the eastern sections of Hendricks County, and then a little farther to the south and west in between Cloverdale and Martinsville. So Martinsville, these storms are moving in for you along with Mooresville and Brooklyn, so including all of Morgan County. And then south, there's Bloomington. So the storms are starting to move in as well. So this is a long line of storms having an impact really across the entire state at this point, and it is going to be with us for the next several hours, especially that severe threat pushing across the eastern half of the state And this, because of the rain and the timing, is going to have an impact on folks getting home, kids getting home from school, some of those after school activities, and most likely just a slow evening drive due to the wet roads. So that's one thing that we will continue to keep you updated on. In terms of a couple of cameras, and then we'll get over to Sean. Let's see here. We will do this. This is one of my favorites. Oh, well, it used to be one of my favorites. That was the Country Club of Indianapolis. Let's see what it is. That's Northside Tower. So let's pick something different. I mentioned Morris Reservoir.
I think it's in the rain.
Oh, is it?
I'm pretty sure that's what's
That's
going
our
on.
north side camera. You're right, because it is elevated a bit.
Yeah, yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
okay, well, that's what the storm looks like.
It's a John Carpenter special right there. no doubt.
Yikes. Doesn't look good. Let's see here if I can find Morris Reservoir for you. And we'll check that. So you can see, you know, I pointed Morris Reservoir out with the storms near Arcadia and Sheridan. So you can see this is going to move across the water here at Morris Reservoir. So obviously not live in Indianapolis, but we are live at Morris Reservoir. Let's check one more camera, and then we'll get back to radar, and I'll show you my favorite. My favorite is the Country Club of Indianapolis, just because I like to see people on the golf course. Now would not be a great time to be on the golf course. The sirens may have sounded for them, or the horn, I should say, to get off the course or to take shelter because of some lightning moving in. But that's a view from one of our cameras as well. In terms of radar, we have a long line of rain and storms to get through, and an active couple of days. These storms go north and actually look to be a bit more severe. I tell you, Michigan, the southern part of that state has been hit hard this spring so far. Parts of Illinois as well. And that's where we find some of the more significant warnings. For us, we still have the severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Marion, Hamilton, Hendricks, Boone, Morgan, and Johnson counties until 2:45. So I'm going to continue this coverage until then, and then we may take a bit of a break, and then we'll be back with you for some additional coverage. And of course, we have full reports coming up at 4, 5, 6, and then back here on WTHR Plus at 6:30. We were talking about this week and the fact that it is such a busy week, and the forecast never seems to be very easy. Early call on Carb Day, if you believe some of the long-range analysis, we may get some dry time early in the day, but then it doesn't last long. So looking like, again, if this would verify, I'm just taking a peek at some of the long-range data that has just come in, may impact the concert part of that day. But they may end up being, if it verifies the timeline, this would be an end of Friday event. So they may be able to get some cars on the track, get a few practice laps ahead of the race on Sunday. But that's the early call for Carb Day right now. Some of the long range analysis has the early part of Friday dry with the afternoon wet, and maybe pretty wet. That would have an impact on the concert. And I believe it's Counting Crows this year out at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But thought I'd give you a little heads up since you're joining us here on WTHR Plus. This is how radar looks right now. This is a close-up view, and let's go back to that close-up view to show you the lightning. There's the warning. There's all of the lightning associated with this. Here's Interstate 69. Basically along and just west of 69 is where we have the heavy rain and the lightning at this point. This will continue to move off to the north and east. Muncie, you've got a little bit of time. Anderson, you've got a little bit of time, but do know your outdoor activities in the next hour or so are going to be impacted. Into Bloomington now. Greenwood, you're going to be next along with the rest of Johnson County. Shelbyville, Rushville, you've got a little bit of time, but what you see on radar is eventually going to make a move from west to east across the state. Sean, you've been keeping an eye on a few of our other cameras. You do it better than I do.
I just slept at a Holiday Inn Express. That's all. That's the only thing. Every now and then I can get it right here. Speaking of cameras, one that just kind of tells the story. Of course, this was the last day of practice at the Motor Speedway. We were able to get some laps in, but if you look at the pylon, there you go, weather advisory. Ominous looking sky there as we look south going into turn one as the core of the storm Hasn't made it there yet, but boy, it is going to hit well before 3 o'clock. I would say probably within the next 5 minutes, the sky's going to open up there. Now, speaking of opening up, so this is what it looks like to the west of the track. This is 465 near 74 right there, where you get off the Speedway exit. And then farther northwest behind the leading edge. And of course, once you get on the backside or behind the leading edge, this is near Zionsville, where there's a spotter reporting potentially 60-mile-per-hour gust. It just becomes more of a rain deal. Now, let me. I'm gonna take this camera and I'm gonna move it farther to the east along 465, where we can try to get ahead of the storm line. Just hang with me here. Got to find the right one. Yeah, so when it pops up, so we're going to be on the other side of Marion County here, near Allisonville Road, and we're looking southwest. So we're out ahead of the line of thunderstorms. So we'll see how that camera changes. So as we look at the radar, again, we still have the severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Marion County. And it's going to continue here for just a little bit. Let me show you the warning that's in place. Goes until 2:45. Whether or not we get an extension, that's to be determined. Potential for some pockets of 60-mile-per-hour wind. Now, with that said, let's look at the radar now. As it's going over the radar out by the airport as we speak. So we're just getting a new scan there. Again, we're looking, so we just got an extension of the severe thunderstorm warning. So we were wondering if that was going to happen, and so there you go. Let me put the radar on, and there's the Boeing. Let me circle that too. So now this is going to go into Hamilton and Madison and Hancock counties. But right on this edge right here, if we're going to get severe gust, and this is just about to hit us here, that's when it would happen. So let me give you the latest on this particular warning, and that'll be until 3:30, potentially for some pockets there of 60-mile-per-hour gust as it moves toward the east-northeast at 45 miles per hour. So let's do a track on this. And that also includes parts of Johnson County as well. I've reached the reader portion of my life. Stand by, friends. So this gives you a ballpark. Downtown within 5 minutes. Lawrence within about 10. Gets to Anderson in less than a half an hour. And if it holds Muncie, we've got you about 45 minutes. So this thing, and so this is the storm line, and so there you go, and there it is, Ange. Yeah, we said at the noon, we said possible at 2, likely before 3, and there you go.
Yes. And it looks like, at least from this vantage point, a little bit of that sideways rain, so there's some wind with it as well. You can see that is a live view at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and really all across Central. That's a great view, too. That's one of my favorites. See, I think why I'm not good at the cameras is because there are certain rules out at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and their cameras, and I'm not a rule breaker.
And then look at this. So this is our north side camera that's out of the rain core for the time being. Ominous indeed. You can see how low that cloud base is. As we'll keep an eye on this one. This one's obviously a little bit higher. I want to just go real quickly, go back, hang tight with me. So this is that Allisonville, 465 Allisonville camera. And then go back to that north side camera once again. That's just about to get clocked. It's actually in between waves of rain.
Okay.
So, but heads up there, northeast siders. And Fisher's Noblesville, kind of near the edge of the bow, as well as Carmel. So I'll try to play around some of these NDOT cameras and see what we can find.
Okay, then since we've had an extension of the warning, let's stick with this through at least 3, maybe just over the top of the hour, and then I think that might give us a little bit of time then to get our crew ready for our 4 o'clock news over on Channel 13. But we'll have continuing coverage not only here on WTHR Plus, but on Channel 13 at 4, 5, 6, and then back here on WTHR Plus at 6:30, and then as needed as we head through the next several hours. But you are watching continuing coverage. I'm meteorologist Angela Buckman along with meteorologist Sean Ash. Continuing coverage because of severe storms moving through central Indiana. Sean showed you some of those cameras, pretty ominous looking clouds, and also pointed out the little curvature to the radar echo. So the new severe thunderstorm warning is going to go until 3:30, and it's going to include parts of Marion County into Hamilton, into Madison, into Hancock. Due to the potential of some damaging wind gusts. Sean mentioned there was one spotter report of potentially 60-mile-per-hour winds, so we'll continue to monitor what comes in to the National Weather Service from the spotters. But this storm, if we've got one that's producing severe wind, it's going to be approaching Fishers in the eastern part of Hamilton County, and think Lawrence, Castleton on the northeast side of Marion, and then the east side over toward the Cumberland area of Marion County. So this is the one warned storm, severe thunderstorm warning until 3:30, but it's part of a long line of storms that goes all the way south into Bloomington now. Martinsville, you've got some heavy rain and lightning coming in. Bloomington dealing with the rain right now. So Nashville, you're going to be in the path of this into parts of Johnson County. So it's in Martinsville, but Nineveh, up toward Greenwood. Eventually, this line of storms is going to move in within the next half hour, 45 minutes or so. And eventually into Shelbyville and Rushville. So you can see you're clear, but you can also see the line of storms that's out to the west that's going to impact the afternoon and evening drive. It's going to impact kids getting off the school buses and those after school activities. I know for a lot, the school year is getting ready to wind down, but there are probably still a lot of, and sometimes it's even busier. I remember when my kids were in school, sometimes the end of the year is busier just because of all the, yes, Sean says yes, he's got kids in it to win it right now with activities. And there always seems to be, as we wrap up school, extra things, whether it be a field day or just celebrations. So a lot goes on at the end of a school year. So these storms, unfortunately, are going to have an impact. Marion, we had mentioned you earlier in our coverage. Storms are on the approach within the next minute or so. Hartford City, here's Blackford County. You're going to be next. There is Madison County, south into Anderson. We've got a couple of cells popping in advance of the main line with some downpours and maybe a little bit of lightning. But there's the main line of storms that's going to have an impact for our eastern viewing area from Hartford City into Portland, Winchester, south into Richmond, eventually into Connorsville and Liberty. But you do have a little bit of time if you wanted to, if the kids were out and you wanted to bring in the bikes or wrap up anything that, or tie down anything that might be loose in some damaging wind gusts. There is that potential with this line. There it is into Carmel and the rest of Hamilton County, moving off to the east and northeast. And there, let's go south. Once you get behind this line, we're starting to see the severe thunderstorm watch dropped kind of county by county, but we've been under a severe thunderstorm watch for the last couple of hours. Counties have been dropped to the northwest, still under the severe thunderstorm watch from Indianapolis north and east. Some gusts may be up to near 70, isolated hail that could be an inch or larger. And we've been really keeping a close eye on radar for any wind spikes and any rotation. Really haven't seen much in the way of rotation, bless you. What we do see is a long line of storms, and I believe that's going to be a flash flood warning, but you know what, we'll stop this and I'll check that warning as it is in parts of Illinois. And as we all know, we live in Indiana, everything moves for the most part, most of the time, from west to east. They are dealing with numerous warnings across the southern sections of Michigan, but let's check that warning. So let's stop this. And this view is kind of a good view because it shows you what we're going to be dealing with for the next several hours, specifically all of that rain from here all the way back through parts of Missouri. So that is a flash flood warning. Okay, so that's a flash flood warning. So, and we talked about this. We get concerned when this line becomes horizontal, because if it's a vertical line, like what we're dealing with now, we know this is moving. It's going to move west to east. This is moving, but unfortunately it's going to move over the same areas over and over again. So flooding is going to become a real concern, especially across the southern half of the state. So that's a flash flood warning, not for us locally, but into Illinois. So if you're familiar with the Effingham area, it's in that location. So that is a flash flood warning. They're dealing with numerous warnings in the central sections of lower Michigan as well. For us, we have the one severe thunderstorm warning now for eastern half of Marion County, and then as we move east because of this line of storms. Let's go into the warning real quick, and then we'll check the velocities. And that's one thing we've been keeping an eye on for the potential of some damaging winds. And when we get the brighter colorization, so now noticing a little bit of that northeast of Fisher. So here we are in the eastern part of Hamilton County. So if we've got potential here for some stronger, potentially severe wind gusts, that's going to move northeast toward the Anderson area. So yes, Madison County, be aware potential exists for some damaging wind. No real signs of rotation within this line, which is great news, but we continue to obviously monitor the velocities. And one other way we can show you that is with our shear detector or rotation detector. And sometimes even if it isn't rotating, but we get those big wind spikes, we'll notice that on the rotation detector. This is basically what's happening now. We can go back in time, and here's the reason the National Weather Service has kept this area under a warning. So if we go back in time, you can see the path of that potential of some stronger, potentially severe wind gusts. Impacted parts of northern Hendricks County, southeastern Boone, and yes, so right where we said we've got that wind spike now in the eastern part of Hamilton County, that would make sense based on where, if we look back in time a little bit, where the rotation track or the strong wind track has been. In terms of hail, we haven't had much in the way of hail reports, but I'll go ahead and put those on. And no, a little bit, I guess a little bit there. So you can see just a little bit south of Cloverdale and maybe a little bit southeastern sections of Boone County, but no widespread large hail, at least so far, with the analysis that we're getting on radar locally. It is an active radar. That's the severe thunderstorm warning that goes until 3:30. Again, we're gonna take this to the top of the hour at least to make sure that you are aware. If you've got kids coming home from school, sometimes if you've got a big storm like this, buses will be delayed. Schools locally are always very good about communicating any holding of students based on weather, but the school districts will be looking at this from Marion County into Hamilton County, into Madison, and then into Grant counties, basically along and ahead of this line, because they don't want the kids, getting onto the buses during a big lightning storm. So just be thinking, if you're expecting kids home, don't be surprised if you get an alert from a school or two that they're holding some kids strictly because of weather, Sean.
Yeah, and I was just checking. Airport near Carmel reporting a 61 mile per hour gust. Okay.
So that kind of, I showed you the I'm going to say rotation tracker, but we really haven't had much in the way of rotation. But it also picks up on those really, that severe wind. And it was not surprising then, where we had the history of that across the northern sections of Hendricks County, that would then translate into parts of, we had it across southeastern Boone as well, into portions of Hamilton, and that's kind of where we saw that brighter colorization on the radar as well in terms of velocity. So how are the cameras looking?
So yeah, I've got a couple interesting cameras, one of which is 70 looking west toward downtown near the split, and the reason I chose this one, it's close to the leading edge of the wind burst. Starting to see some backups there. The rain's going to start to ramp up. You can see the skyline in the distance there. This is 69 near Fishers, there, 106th Street, okay? And also within the storm axis. Obviously, we've got IMS closed for business today. They were able to get some laps in, and the sports crew will have an update on that, but that will be the last practice until Carb Day, and hopefully we can get some laps in. So based on the latest data sets, the afternoon of Carb Day, we are probably going to have the likelihood of some showers. We'll have more on that. Let's take care of this first. This is the different vantage point in the rain core now. And here's our north side camera. And then a last stop, we'll have you in Bloomington, where you're just starting to get into the rain. All right. Couple of things I want to point out here. So the severe threat, once the leading edge of the line gets over your area and then to the east, any severe wind threat will be done. And then we transition this bad boy into flooding. So this light green that you see on the back side, that's no problem. Crawfordsville, Highland area, that up here, no problem. What concerns me a little bit is that this leading edge, it's going to slow down. It's going to slow down near 70, and then south of 70, you're going to be within these training pockets much of the evening. So we've been talking about the potential that we're going to get into a situation where rain rates, inch plus, and you see the flash flood warning over there in Illinois. So we may start to see more of those popping up in the Channel 13 viewing area as we go through the evening here. In fact, I would expect we're going to have flooding problems. Either way, we are going to have a real messy commute here. And this zone, my opinion, will be in the line of fire for flash flooding as we move forward here. So we still have that severe thunderstorm warning. Let's change gears. Let's get in local and get in tight here on the radar. So we'll start to keep an eye out for these pockets of strong wind. Mentioned we had that 61 mile per hour report from earlier. Let me put the storm report in. So there's been some damage reports too out of Zionsville. So we look back at the radar. I think it was with that quick burst right there, Angela. I think that's what. So there's Carmel. And look, sometimes, you get in a situation where it just, only takes one quick burst. Severe thunderstorm warning continues. There's your polygon. That's going to continue for another half an hour. The worst of any wind threat for downtown Indy and points to the west, in my opinion, is over for now. But we'll be mindful that on the leading edge here, that includes Johnson County. You're still in play, Shelby County, and then all the way up into Madison and Hancock County in play for these pockets. And again, not going to be widespread wind issues, but pockets of wind damage and these 60 mile per hour bursts.
And it's interesting where you showed that storm report. It's right where we had those little spikes on the wind or rotation detector. I'm going to show you that in just a minute. The reason Sean is concerned with flooding is we've got the vertical part of this line of storms moving. Eventually, as he said, it's going to slow down, and then we've got all of this still to come. Heavy rain extends back through the central sections of Missouri, and all of this still has to come our way. we are dealing with the threat of severe weather. I'm meteorologist Angela Buckman along with meteorologist Sean Ash. I'm going to get you just across the 3 o'clock hour, and then we're going to take just a bit of a break, and then I'll come back with another update at 3:30, and we'll have a full report starting at 4. That way it gives our crew a little bit of time to get the studio ready for what they need for our 4 o'clock news. But we do have the one severe thunderstorm warning, and we do want to point out to our west, embedded in this line, there are a couple of flash flood warnings, and so we anticipate some additional warnings locally that may center more around flooding. Before we do any significant analysis, I do want to show you that shear track, or the rotation detector. Right where Sean showed us that we've got a storm report is where this peaked. So Zionsville, Whitestown, you were under severe thunderstorm warning at the time, and we've been keeping you updated on the warnings and these little pockets of stronger wind potential, severe wind potential. And now we've got that storm report coming to us from the southeastern sections of Boone County, and a 61-mile-per-hour gust reported at the airport in Carmel. And now the warning has been extended to the east to include portions of Madison into Hancock counties. And again, what we're going to look for when we put the velocities on are just bright colors. And we've got a little bit that definitely sticks out coming out of northeastern Hamilton County that's going to head toward the Anderson area. And then let's come out just a little bit. We'll go north. And perhaps a little bit, although not quite as impressive, just as Sean said, there's just these little tiny pockets of severe wind potential. So just be mindful. If you do have kids coming home on a school bus, sometimes those schools get delayed when we're dealing with a lot of lightning. They will hold kids until it's safe to get them on the buses. So if you're sitting at home kind of watching our coverage thinking, yes, kid's going to be a few minutes late, student's going to be a little bit late, it's weather, and a lot of the schools will do that just to keep the kids safe from a lot of lightning. This line of storms will continue to move east-northeast into Blackford County, so Hartford City, and then south into Muncie. You've got a little bit of time into the Greenfield area, into Hancock County, but not a lot. You also don't have a lot of time. Anderson, these storms are knocking on your door, and those are two cities, Anderson and Greenfield, that are now under a severe thunderstorm warning until 3:30. A little curvature to the radar echoes indicates that stronger wind potential. You're probably feeling that into the Anderson area and probably the western sections of Hancock County there along I-70 as you come out of Indianapolis. Let's head south. Cluster of storms impacting Morgan County right now. Heavy storms over Martinsville, lots of lightning, some strong winds, not quite as significant as you move south toward the Bloomington area. But this is the line of storms that we are watching at this hour. Potential still exists for some severe wind, especially in the area north and east of Indianapolis as this storm heads toward Anderson, heads into the Greenfield area and the northeast side of Indianapolis. We do have this line of storms that will have an impact for us, we think, over the next couple of hours for the eastern part of the state, and then transitioning to a heavy rain event as we get into later evening hours. We are just after 3 o'clock. Sean, unless you care, I'm going to take a quick break.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to take a quick break. He's going to take a quick break. I will have another update for you here at 3:30. We'll gather a little additional information from the National Weather Service. But what we do know, this line of storms did produce a little bit of wind damage southeastern sections of Boone County as it moved through. That line of storms, the severe part of this line of storms, Greenfield, Anderson, eventually into Muncie, Hartford City, Fairmount. So those are the kind of the core cities that we're keeping an eye on. I will have another live update here on WTHR Plus at 3:30, and then our news will start at 4 o'clock. So look for another update here shortly at 3:30. And good afternoon. I'm meteorologist Angela Buckman with a live update here on WTHR Plus. What's left of our severe thunderstorm watch for Indianapolis up into Muncie and points north and east until 6 p.m. We have had several warnings in terms of severe thunderstorm warnings. Right now, none of those for the central part of the state, but we have a new one that was just issued for Blackford County. So let's show you that first. And then I am going to add some flood warnings to this. At least I'm going to try to. So this is Hartford City, severe thunderstorm warning. This one just came in from the National Weather Service. It's going to include a good part, for the most part, all of Blackford County until 4 p.m. So Hartford City, you are now under a severe thunderstorm warning until 4 o'clock. That is the new warning coming to us from the National Weather Service until 4 o'clock. Blackford County, including Hartford City, until 4 p.m. So that's the one severe thunderstorm warning that we have. Just across the state line, these are flash flood warnings south of Effingham, just south of I-70. We anticipate additional additional flood warnings, I should say, as we kind of transition from a damaging wind potential with this line of storms to basically the concerns centering around flooding. Let's put on, I'm going to see if I can, on the fly, put some warnings on. Because again, we're going to start to see this transition to some flood warnings, and that is going to be a concern for central Indiana. Okay, so there it is. This is the flood advisory. So this is new from the National Weather Service as well. And areas southwest have been under a flood watch. This flood advisory, and there is the flood watch. Okay, so I've got those on. So I want to now, we'll show you when these expire. So this is just some new information since the last time we talked, because the rain rates are really high. We can hear it here still at Channel 13. We've got some rumbles of thunder and the very, very heavy rain. So the flood advisories, so that's going to include, or flood warning, I should say. Flood warning is going to be for parts of Clay, Greene, Owen, Putnam, Sullivan, Vigo counties until 8:15. So this is basically kind of an aerial flood warning. Lowland flooding, street flooding. We've had some very heavy rain in this area already, and the rain does continue to fall. So this is some new information. Flood warning until 8:15 for parts of Clay, Greene, Owen, Putnam, Sullivan, and Vigo counties. Now the flood watch will go until 11 o'clock, and it's basically this area highlighted in the darker green. I wouldn't be surprised to see the flood watch extended and some additional warnings, whether they're the typical flood warnings or we get into that flash flood warning category. So flooding is definitely going to be something that we continue to monitor, as that threat will continue for the next several hours. Before I show you radar, I am going to save this so I don't lose it. And the reason we're starting to see this transition into more of a flooding threat is basically what you see on radar out to our west. All of this rain is going to continue to move from west to east. And instead of a vertical line of storms moving west to east and out, this is a horizontal line, so it's going to continue to rain over the same areas. And we do think that's going to be along and south of I-70. Blackford County, we mentioned you for a severe thunderstorm warning due to the potential of some damaging wind gusts. Here's how radar looks, and we'll go we'll go north to south. So let's go north and show you the severe warned storm that's over Hartford City right now. Potential for some damaging winds, and we have had a couple of storm reports due to 60-mile-per-hour winds and a little bit of damage. 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts near Carmel, and some damage reported in southeastern Boone County. There is the severe thunderstorm warning. Nothing really standing out significant in terms of a significant wind, but that threat exists with this storm as it continues to move across Blackford County and Hartford City. In Portland, eventually this line of storms is going to move your way and impact the eastern part of our viewing area. So it's in Hartford City, just about to Muncie. You've got just a few minutes before the heavy rain, the lightning. You're probably already starting to feel the winds pick up. We've got heavy rain and lightning in Anderson, covering all of Madison County from Pendleton south to LaPel. into Markleville, Newcastle, Knightstown. It's getting close. All of this moving northeast, and we still have the very heavy rain and at times some lightning in and around downtown Indianapolis and the eastern half of Marion County. We talked about this the last time we updated you. Depending on how bad the weather is, how much lightning is in the area, sometimes we can get some minor delays for buses as students come home from school. So something to keep in mind. And we do expect this to be a slow evening drive because of the heavy rain that's falling. It's raining in Greenwood. We've got some lightning as well around Greenwood into Acton, southeastern part of Marion County, and then south into Johnson, back into Martinsville and Morgan County. And we'll just take you down south into Bloomington. We've got rain in Nashville, Columbus. This will eventually move your way. So concerned still with maybe some damaging wind with a couple of pockets. It's not a widespread wind damage with this line of storms, but still could see some embedded pockets of winds up to 60 miles per hour. Severe thunderstorm warning for Blackford County and Hartford City. That goes until 4 p.m. This line of storms continues to move into the eastern half of the state, and then we're going to transition to more of a flooding event and concern over the next couple of hours. I'm meteorologist. We are getting ready to start our 4 o'clock news here coming up in about a little over 20 minutes. So our crew is getting ready. Meteorologist Sean Ash will have you covered at 4. That will be streaming and on channel 13, 4, 5, 6, and then we'll be back here for the 6:30 on WTHR Plus as well. Just wanted you to know we've got you covered on the severe storms, potentially severe storms, moving now across the eastern part of the state, and our coverage will continue for you coming up at 4 o'clock.